This time we will discuss an organization, or more precisely a kind of container for, in quotation marks, disposing of criminals. This is the Fontaine underwater prison, or better known as the Meropide Fortress. We think of this prison as an organization, friends, because it is also a gathering place, right? Apart from its function as a prison in Fontaine, the Meropide Fort actually has a long history and story in its formation. Even several times there have been ups and downs. There is also a kind of intrigue that this place was a testing ground for Pantalone regarding his big plans. Until now this place has become an ideal place as a place to be reborn. So through this video we will discuss the Meropide Fort together, starting from the history of how this prison was formed, to Pantalone's intervention in managing the prison's finances. Let's start now. Maybe what we know about the Meropide prison or the Meropide Fort: it has a function as a prison and or as a place of exile for criminals who were sentenced to Fontaine. But historically the function of the Meropide Fortress is not like that, where when the Meropide Fort was first established, it only had one goal, namely to protect the secret of the first Archon Hydro of Egeria. According to Wriothesley's account, when Egeria became the Archon of Hydro and the ruler of Fontaine, that's when the law came into effect in the region. Of course, with a series of laws and regulations, many lawbreakers would emerge, and in that era, lawbreakers only had one type of punishment, namely being exiled by society to an area in the middle of nowhere, on the outskirts of Fontaine, because at that time there was no such thing as a prison in Fontaine, let alone the Meropide Fortress. So the area where criminals were exiled in the early days of Fontaine was said to be not a habitable area. Even if it was possible to even live, it was extraordinary. That's why many criminals then asked for forgiveness to Egeria as the ruler of Fontaine, and Egeria, with his wisdom, forgave them and then advised them to protect the secret of Egeria, which was under the ocean, and that secret was of course a primordial ocean water canal which was submerged along with the Remeria civilization. So these people were the ones who then built the fort under the sea and protects the secrets of Egeria under there. The construction of the Meropide Fort itself took a very long time. It is even said that when the first generation all died, the construction was then continued to the next generation. The existence of this fort then became a new place for exiled lawbreakers who were not all of them know about the true story of the construction of the fort. Only a few people really know that the Meropide Fort was built with the aim of protecting the secret of Egeria, namely the primordial ocean, and to protect this secret, a new term was created, namely the Forbidden Zone, which refers to the secret. What was meant, but perhaps because it was too secretive, people then forgot about the real reason for the construction of the Meropide Fort. Gradually the Fontaine people believed that the Meropide Fort was only a place for violators of existing laws, and that this prison was built on the basis of Egeria's wisdom of asking for her secrets to be protected, and all the other things was considered just a fairy tale that was not that important in history. Until then it all came to light after Wriothesley was idly swimming around Meropide's prison, and found that he suddenly had some kind of skin disease, but Wriothesley was able to recover instantly. Also gathered prisoners who happened to be academics and extracted all kinds of information that he could conclude from the phenomena he found, and after everything he was able to conclude that what people thought was a fairy tale was actually true, and predictions that sounded ridiculous would slowly come true. That's why he initiated a project called Winglet to prepare for the worst possible predictions that would come. In the previous point we discussed the history of the establishment of the Meropide prison, which was built by exiled people, and this place is now a place for people being exiled, is also very far from the first function, but from a historical aspect it seems to remain the same. Yes, you could say that life in Meropide at this time is very far from protecting the secrets of Egeria. Maybe even those who actually carry out that task can be counted on the fingers for now, but life in it still going there, and I'll explain here how life there goes on in the current era. As I told you in the lore video from Wriothesley before he came, or when he first came to Meropide prison, it was really a chaotic place. Drugs can be free to buy and sell, chaotic price fluctuations of goods, buying and selling positions, and special coupons really become something invaluable there. Even new prisoners who come to Meropide can't eat if they don't have special coupons, so coming to prison really has to be done straight away. Work doesn't matter if you're hungry or not. If you want to eat, work first. I'll actually discuss this in the last point, but I'll tell you briefly here that there was potential chaos that occurred in Meropide in that era due to interference from Pantalone, who created special coupons there. Well, everything really changed after the coup carried out by Riothusly there, where he succeeded in expelling the old head warden and replacing his position. Well, the change in the position of head warden at Meropide did bring about many changes, so that some of the prisoners even felt that life was very decent there, and some later chose to remain in Meropide even after their prison term expired, although at this point there were other factors that influenced it, namely that the prisoners in Meropide were also subject to a kind of social sanction in Fontaine. Then the Meropide prison was actually used as a place of rebirth for their prisoners who, being a prisoner, will really be impoverished when they first enter Meropide prison. No matter what their achievements are at Fontaine, they will actually repeat from zero there. Well, but with this aspect they have the opportunity to enrich themselves there if they have sufficient business to do so. Achieve that, even if you have certain talents or abilities, you can use it to get at least a special coupon, or, more specifically, you can get a certain position. Yes, even though certain positions in the Riothusly era were a bit stricter than in the past, even when travelers and payments first arrived in Meropide alone. Riothusly himself is the one who selects the people who want to advance to the next level. In this era, the public canteen will provide free food to each resident of Meropide once a day, but with the caveat that the food is gacha. Sometimes you get luxurious food, sometimes you get food that can at least be swallowed, but if pay to win can ensure that the food is luxurious and can even eat more than once every day, which is why in Meropide business will not betray the results of life in Meropide, nor will there be a shortage of work, which is why the Meropide prison is famous for making gear for the mecha in Fontaine, so the gear will always be there and production will not stop. The easiest way to find special coupons in Meropide is to work hard in the production zone, and it seems that there used to be some kind of mining area in Meropide, but the mining activity stopped after an incident at the Fontaine Research Institute. Well, the facility in Meropide is also considered complete in the category of areas filled with criminals. There is a mess, a decent place to eat, a health clinic, and an entertainment area, namely the Pancration Ring. So even though it seems that the Meropide prison is isolated from the outside world, yet the residents can still have contact with Fontaine, whether by sending letters to their closest relatives or ordering goods from outside through Alvord, but they will still be closely monitored, even though there was a slip-up when there was a threatening letter against Melusine, even though the Meropide fortress is located in the jurisdictional zone of Fontaine, which in fact the construction was based on instructions from Egeria, but the Meropide fort was not affected by the laws in Fontaine. In fact, they had a kind of special autonomy, which meant that in the Meropide prison their own laws applied there. This loophole was then exploited by Pantalone to launch one of his businesses, namely making a currency that could rivaling Mora's dominance. Well, in Riothusly's lore, I just realized that all the chaos that occurred before the head warden was couped by Riothusly was all caused by the presence of special coupons, which became the currency or medium of exchange in Meropide, where drug trafficking means there must be a position coupon. It could be purchased with a special coupon, so that the price was determined by a special coupon, so that the term breathing also required a special coupon emerged. Well, this illustrates that in that era the prisoners were really dependent on special coupons in Meropide, and it turns out that after exploring it more deeply, the chaos caused by the special coupon is thanks to the intervention of the special coupon creator, who is none other than Fatui Harbinger's number 9, namely Pantalone. The presence of the special coupon created by Pantalone is told in Riothusly's signature weapon, namely Cash Flow Supervision, where the narrative in the CS lore is similar with what is stated in the Pale Flame artifact, more precisely at the moment of cessation, whether in terms of his obsession with money, his ambition to control the medium of exchange, even discussing the source of Mora, namely Gnosis Geo, which has been taken, and if this aspect is combined with my discussion about Regrader a year or two ago, the most suitable description of him was Pantalone. But in the video I thought that Pantalone wanted to control Mora, and when people were very dependent on Mora, that's when he made Mora's value fall so much that chaos ensued. but apparently Pantaloon's ambitions went further than just controlling all of Mora, where apparently he wanted to make a rival currency to Mora, and through special coupons in Meropide, Pantaloon made a kind of experiment for his big ambition there. Pantaloon, or at least the story that exists in CS, really illustrates how the flow of special coupons can be controlled easily. Then it causes chaos in Meropide and makes the prisoners dependent on the special coupons that are there, and maybe even the decision of the warden to take all the special coupons from Ryathously could be there. The influence of Pantaloon cannot be ascertained exactly when this special coupon was created, perhaps before Ryathously became a prisoner, which means approximately 10 years ago, or when Ryathously was in prison. But what is clear is that Ryathously succeeded in making the value of the special coupon more controlled, and of course that made a plan from Pantaloon is a bit more chaotic than what was planned, so there is the potential that Ryathously and Pantaloon could be involved in certain conflicts in the future.